Confidence isn't some magical trait bestowed at birth upon a lucky few. It's the natural byproduct of accumulated competence. Think of the first time you attempted anything new, riding a bike, public speaking, or starting a business. That initial clumsiness wasn't a lack of confidence, it was a lack of experience. True confidence emerges when you transform the unfamiliar into the familiar through deliberate practice and mastery. Every expert was once a beginner, and every confident person was once uncertain. The difference lies in their willingness to persist through the awkward phases until skill replaced doubt. Competence breeds confidence because it rewires your brain's assessment of risk. When you truly know your craft, your subconscious stops warning you about potential failure and starts anticipating success. A surgeon doesn't approach an operation with the same anxiety as a medical student, not because they're inherently braver, but because they've performed hundreds of successful procedures. Their confidence comes from their track record, not some mystical self-belief. This explains why the most confident people in any field are often the most knowledgeable. They've put in the reps that create unconscious competence. The learning process itself builds confidence in unexpected ways. Each time you push through the frustration of not knowing something and eventually master it, you prove to yourself that growth is possible. This creates a powerful meta-confidence, the assurance that you can learn anything given enough time and effort. Polyglots don't just gain confidence in speaking new languages, they develop confidence in their ability to acquire languages. This transferable confidence becomes your secret weapon when facing new challenges. You've built evidence that you can figure things out. Preparation is the invisible architecture of confidence. What looks like natural poise to observers is actually the visible result of invisible labor. The world mistakes confidence for some magical quality, when in reality it's simply the outward manifestation of private preparation. Consider the concert pianist whose fingers dance effortlessly across the keys. That ease comes from thousands of hours of disciplined practice when no audience was watching. The difference between nervous hesitation and calm assurance often comes down to one simple factor: how thoroughly you've prepared. When you've rehearsed every possible scenario, when you've anticipated every objection, when you've mastered your material code, confidence isn't something you need to manufacture. It emerges naturally as the byproduct of your preparation. Positive self-talk acts as the internal soundtrack of confidence building. Most people don't realize they're conducting a constant inner dialogue that either strengthens or sabotages their self-assurance. The confident person isn't necessarily more skilled, they're just better at managing their mental narrative. Where others whisper, "I hope I don't mess up," the confident declare, "I'm ready for this." This is an empty affirmation, but strategic cognitive conditioning, training your mind to focus on capability rather than limitation. The words you use internally create neural pathways that either support or undermine your confidence. Change your self-talk and you change your self-concept. Change your self-concept and you change what actions you're willing to take. Preparation creates what psychologists call response confidence, the certainty that you can handle whatever arises. This explains why emergency responders can act calmly in crises while bystanders panic. The difference isn't courage, but preparation. They've trained for these scenarios repeatedly. You develop this same unshakable assurance in your field by mentally rehearsing challenges before they occur. The executive who prepares for tough questions, the negotiator who anticipates counter-arguments, the performer who visualizes their routine, they all cultivate confidence through systematic preparation rather than leaving things to chance. The relationship between preparation and confidence follows a precise mathematical formula. Confidence equals preparation divided by importance. As the perceived importance of an event increases, so must your preparation to maintain the same confidence level. This explains why people choke under pressure, not because they lack ability, but because they haven't scaled their preparation to match the stakes. The athlete who trains the same way for a local match as for the championship will feel unprepared when it matters most. True confidence comes from preparing so thoroughly that even high-stakes situations feel manageable because you've intentionally over-prepared for them Physical preparation creates mental confidence in surprising ways. The way you carry your body doesn't just reflect your confidence, it creates it. Research shows that adopting power poses for just 2 minutes increases testosterone, the dominance hormone, by 20% and decreases cortisol, the stress hormone, by 15%. The confident don't just stand tall because they feel assured. Standing tall actually makes them feel more assured. This mind-body connection works in reverse too. Slouching, shallow breathing, and avoiding eye contact don't just signal low confidence, they chemically induce it. By consciously optimizing your physiology, you can generate confidence on demand rather than waiting to feel it spontaneously. Preparation provides the antidote to perfectionism, which is often confidence in disguise. Many talented people sabotage themselves by waiting until they feel perfectly ready before taking action, a day that never comes. The confident understand that 80% preparation with 20% adaptability beats 100% preparation that arrives too late. There's a critical distinction between being prepared and being perfect. One builds confidence through action, the other destroys it through procrastination. The military operates on this principle. Soldiers train extensively but understand that no battle plan survives first contact with the enemy. Their confidence comes not from having all the answers, but from knowing they can adapt with whatever preparation they've brought. Ritual and routine are the unsung heroes of confidence building. High performers across fields rely on pre-performance rituals not because they're superstitious, but because these routines trigger focused confidence. The basketball player's free throw routine, the speaker's pre-stage checklist, the surgeon's scrubbing in procedure. These rituals serve as psychological triggers that shift them into confident states. Over time, the ritual itself becomes associated with peak performance, creating almost instantaneous confidence through conditioned response. Your own confidence can be dramatically enhanced by developing personal rituals that signal to your brain it's time to perform at your best. Preparation builds what athletes call muscle memory, the ability to execute skills automatically under pressure. When actions become second nature through repetition, you free up mental bandwidth to handle unexpected challenges. This explains why pilots can remain calm during emergencies. Their hands know the procedures even when their minds are stressed. You develop this same automatic confidence in your field by drilling fundamentals until they require no conscious thought. The speaker doesn't worry about forgetting their speech because they've practiced it until recall is effortless. The salesperson handles objections smoothly because they've rehearsed responses hundreds of times. This level of preparation creates confidence that persists even under stressful conditions. The most powerful preparation often happens mentally before it manifests physically. Visualization, the practice of mentally rehearsing successful outcomes, has been shown to improve actual performance by up to 35%. Olympic athletes spend as much time visualizing perfect performances as physically training because the brain encodes vivid mental imagery similarly to actual experience. When you've already seen yourself succeed in your mind's eye repeatedly, approaching the real event feels familiar rather than frightening. This mental preparation builds confidence by creating a sense of experienced before you've actually experienced something. Preparation provides the factual basis for confidence in a world that often mistakes arrogance for assurance. Real confidence isn't blind faith in your abilities, but reasoned trust based on evidence. When you've studied your market thoroughly, when you've practiced your presentation relentlessly, when you've tested your product extensively, your confidence comes from data, not delusion. This evidentiary confidence withstands scrutiny because it's rooted in reality rather than wishful thinking. The prepared professional can point to specific reasons why they believe they'll succeed, while the merely hopeful can only offer vague optimism. The confidence that comes from thorough preparation has a distinctive quality. It's quiet but unshakable. Unlike the brittle bravado of the unprepared, this assurance doesn't need to announce itself because it knows it can deliver. You'll spot it in the experienced teacher who handles classroom disruptions calmly, the veteran investor who remains steady during market swings, the skilled mediator who navigates conflicts effortlessly. Their confidence doesn't come from never facing challenges, but from having prepared so thoroughly that challenges feel manageable rather than threatening. Ultimately, preparation builds confidence by reducing the unknown variables in any situation. Fear flourishes in uncertainty, while confidence grows in clarity. When you've done your homework, studied every angle, practiced every scenario, anticipated every objection, you approach challenges with the quiet certainty of someone who knows they've done everything possible to stack the odds in their favor. This doesn't guarantee success, nothing can, but it does guarantee that you'll face whatever comes with the confidence of being thoroughly prepared. And in the end, that's all real confidence ever is, the reasonable expectation of success based on disciplined preparation. True confidence doesn't come from measuring yourself against others. It flows from creating value for others. The insecure person is always looking sideways, comparing their achievements to their peers, while the genuinely confident person is focused outward, asking how they can contribute. This fundamental shift in orientation from comparison to contribution changes everything about how you move through the world. When you stop worrying about being better than someone else and start focusing on being valuable to someone else, you tap into an endless well of authentic self-assurance that no amount of social validation could ever provide. The marketplace rewards value, not vanity. Consider two job candidates, one obsessed with having better credentials than other applicants, the other focused on solving the company's most pressing problems. The first approaches interviews with needy energy, hoping to be chosen. The second enters with generous energy, offering specific solutions. Who do you think makes the stronger impression? Confidence isn't about having the shiniest trophies. It's about having the clearest understanding of how you can help. When you shift from "look how good I am" to "here's how I can make things better for you," you communicate a quiet authority that resonates far deeper than bravado. Comparison is the thief of confidence because the game is rigged. There will always be someone smarter, richer, or more accomplished by whatever metric you're using. The contribution mindset liberates you from this unwinnable competition. Instead of asking, "How do I stack up?" you ask, "What unique value can I bring?" This reframe transforms your energy from defensive to creative. The graphic designer who stops comparing their work to peers and starts focusing on solving clients' visual communication problems suddenly finds their confidence grows alongside their portfolio. Value creation becomes your measuring stick, and it's one you can control completely. Service is the secret weapon of the truly confident. Notice how the most assured people in any room are often those most focused on others rather than themselves. The host making guests comfortable, the teacher attentive to students' needs, the leader clearing obstacles for their team. Their confidence comes not from self-absorption, but from self-forgetfulness, in service of a larger purpose. When you're genuinely engaged in helping others succeed, you stop monitoring your own performance anxiously and start operating from a place of natural authority. This explains why many people find confidence in mentoring others that they struggle to access for themselves. The focus shifts from their insecurities to someone else's growth. The contribution mindset creates what psychologists call earned security, confidence rooted in demonstrated competence rather than fragile self-esteem. When you know you've consistently delivered results for others, you develop an internal scorecard that's immune to external validation. The chef who's fed thousands of satisfied customers doesn't need food critics to validate their skills. The therapist who's helped clients through crises doesn't require praise to know their worth. This earned confidence has depth and resilience because it's been tested in the real world of creating value, not the echo chamber of self-comparison. Confidence grows in direct proportion to your willingness to make yourself useful. Beginners often make the mistake of waiting until they feel fully ready before offering their skills, not realizing that confidence comes through the act of contribution itself. The amateur photographer gains more confidence from shooting a friend's wedding than from endless equipment research. The aspiring writer develops more assurance from publishing blog posts than from perfecting unpublished manuscripts. Each act of contribution, however small, deposits into your confidence account far more than any self-comparison ever could. The value you create becomes your reputation, and nothing builds confidence like a strong reputation. When others consistently associate you with reliability, insight, or problem solving, their belief in you reinforces your belief in yourself. This isn't about people pleasing. It's about the virtuous cycle that begins when you focus on delivering excellence. The contractor known for quality work, the nurse known for compassionate care, the salesperson known for honest advice. They all carry themselves with quiet confidence because their track record speaks for them before they open their mouths. Contribution connects you to something larger than yourself, which is the foundation of lasting confidence. The athlete playing for team glory often shows more poise than the one playing for personal stats. The employee invested in the company's mission demonstrates more assurance than the one focused solely on promotions. When you see yourself as part of an ecosystem where your efforts create ripple effects of value, your confidence draws from this sense of meaningful participation rather than fragile individual achievement. The most confident people are often the most curious, not about how they measure up, but about how they can add to what's already there. They approach collaborations asking, what's needed here, rather than, how can I impress? This generous curiosity makes them magnets for opportunities because people sense their confidence isn't wrapped up in petty competition. The innovative scientist wants to advance the field, not just outshine colleagues. The secure leader wants to develop talent, not just protect their status. This outward focus paradoxically elevates their standing because contribution always gets noticed more than comparison. Financial confidence follows the same principle. Those obsessed with keeping up with neighbors' purchases remain perpetually insecure regardless of income. Those focused on creating value, whether through their work, investments, or innovations, develop financial confidence because they're engaged in wealth creation rather than status comparison. Money flows to value creators naturally, and with it comes the quiet assurance of someone who knows their worth in the marketplace. The transition from comparison to contribution represents emotional and professional maturity. Children compare toys, adults create value. The confident professional doesn't waste energy envying a colleague's promotion. They're too busy honing skills that make them indispensable. The secure artist doesn't fixate on competitors' acclaim. They're absorbed in pushing their craft forward. This isn't naive idealism, it's strategic focus. The marketplace ultimately rewards those who solve problems and elevate others, not those who excel at self-promotion without substance. Confidence rooted in contribution has an attractive humility to it, the kind that opens doors rather than burns bridges. People sense when your assurance comes from adding value rather than asserting superiority. The expert who's genuinely interested in sharing knowledge inspires more confidence than the one obsessed with proving they're the smartest in the room. This humble confidence creates alliances and opportunities that brittle arrogance never could. Ultimately, contribution gives you control over your confidence in a way comparison never can. You can't control who else exists in your field or what advantages they may have, but you can always control the value you choose to create, the problems you solve, the people you help, the quality you deliver. When your confidence is tied to your daily acts of value creation rather than external rankings, you become the author of your own assurance. And that's the most powerful confidence there is, not because you're better than anyone else, but because you're too busy making things better to care about the comparison game.